Real quick, before we get into the show, I wanted to share a new service called Getita that Ken and I have been using that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?
Welcome everyone to the Firing the Man podcast, a show for anyone who wants to be their own boss. If you sit in a cubicle every day and know you are capable of more, then join us. This show will help you build a business and grow your passive income streams in just a few short hours per day. And now your hosts, serial entrepreneurs David Schomer and Ken Wilson.
Welcome, everyone, to the Firing the Man podcast. In today's episode, we are thrilled to have Wes Schaefer, also known as the Sales Whisperer, join us. Wes is a sales expert, speaker, author, and entrepreneur who has dedicated his career to helping professionals and businesses succeed in sales and marketing. With experience in the Air Force and nearly 3 decades in sales, he has developed proven strategies to help people sell professionally, predictably, and profitably. Wes has authored 2 books, produced over 700 podcast episodes since 2009, and spoken worldwide on sales and marketing. His expertise in connecting with customers, leveraging automation, and integrating marketing into the sales process has made him a sought-after mentor in the business world. Today, we'll discuss his journey, his approach to sales, and the key insights he shares with business leaders looking to improve their sales process. Wes, welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So to start things off, can you share with our audience a little bit about your journey from serving in the Air Force to becoming the Sales Whisperer?
It was a bumpy journey. I got out of the Air Force in 97 and jumped right into sales. We'd been married barely 2 years. We already had an infant son. We had another on the way we didn't know about. And I did my 5 years and jumped into commission sales. And it was bumpy. Lots of ups and downs. I got into high tech right as the dot-com bubble was imploding. We just didn't know it. After 6 years of that chaos, I was like, man, being on my own cannot be any more chaotic than working in high tech. So 2006, I bought a course, a guy, I didn't even know him. I knew the guy that referred him. And you're talking about know, like, and trust, right? So it was a good referral. It was an affordable class. It was a 12-week teleclass. So you had to sign up in 05, and it didn't start till early 06. They limited the seating, I think like 35 people. It was $600. It was a conference call. You know, this is before social media, right? Before Facebook groups, before school, before Discord and Telegram and Slack and everything else, right? WhatsApp. So you got a PDF, you got 12 phone calls, and it changed my life. And I ended up hiring the guy that taught that class as my mentor, became his first licensee. And so by the end of 06, I think it was September 1st of 06, I bought the domain name, The Sales Whisperer. I was literally watching The Dog Whisperer. And I remember distinctly, he said, I rehabilitate dogs and I train their owners. And I thought, I rehabilitate salespeople and train their managers. And I bought the name. 10 days later, somebody emailed me, asked me if I would sell that URL. I was like, man, I just bought it. Then I trademarked it. And so that began the journey. I became a licensee of Steve's. I had his content and just started cold calling locally, teaching sales training.
Very nice. Very nice.
Here we are, 19 years later.
Outstanding. Well, I'm looking forward to diving into that, one of the things that you had mentioned was you were working in high tech. It was highly stressful. And you said to yourself, going out on my own could be no more stressful than what I'm currently doing. And, the show's called Firing the Man. I would say that was your firing the man moment. And we've got a lot of people listening that are, in a high pressure job, high stress job, and it's something that they're contemplating. And so what advice would you give to those people who are thinking about going out on their own and betting on themselves?
To be accurate, I said it was chaotic.
You are right. Yes.
Not stressful.
Yes.
I was actually doing well in sales. I was laid off from 2 jobs or 3 jobs. What was that? 3 jobs, and within a few years, I forget, and twice on my birthday. I was like, man, I need to change my birthday. I was over quota in 2004 when I got laid off from my first high tech job. Before my severance ran out, the former president of that company had become the CEO of a tech company in Austin, and which is where I was living, and he picked me up right away. And I worked for them for 3 years. That moved me out to California. And so I was one of 3 out of 33 salespeople that had made my number the previous year. I still got let go. So I kind of cracked the code on sales. I was making good money. But yeah, it was totally chaotic. Like, nobody knows what they're doing. You look around, it's like, I'm almost 55 years old, about to have my 4th grandkid. I don't know what the hell's going on. You look around and go, oh, when I'm that guy's age, I'll have my stuff together. Like, hopefully, like maybe, it's like, there's no owner's manual, man. We're all figuring this stuff out. This is the first time I've ever been this age. So, I mean, we're all figuring it out. And so, yeah, it was chaotic. Yeah, I was always, there's stressful times regardless, what you're going through. But my advice would be, like my dad always says, if you think you're desperate, you are. Okay, so calm down. People do allow themselves to get stressed. And it's like, look, there's no saber-toothed tigers out there. Okay, you are not going to be eaten. We don't live in a war-torn country. We're not in North Korea. Figure it out, right? There are options out there. There are free resources. There are paid, affordable resources. You can start your own, right? So you got to take a step back. And look, firing the man is fine. And from an entrepreneurial standpoint, the U.S. is a great country. It's what separates us from everybody else, is that entrepreneurial spirit. And you can't really explain it. Like, you're born into it. Like, it seeps into your blood. Kind of like when you're in Texas, right? It's like, I lived in Texas for many years, and it's a state of mind, right? It's like, what? This feels different here. And so being an entrepreneur is great. I think sometimes, though, it's romanticized too much, and we almost look down on people like that aren't doing their own thing. It's like the greatest salesman I know. He's a friend of mine, a mentor. I worked with him at a couple of different companies, and he's never been on his own. He tried it for a minute, hated it. And he's literally the number 1 salesman at a Fortune 100 company. He's probably like literally the best salesman in the world right now. Makes a lot of money. Okay. So, so first of all, bloom where you're planted. Okay. If you do want to fire the man, if you do want to go out on your own, pissing everyone off, and leaving a bad taste in everyone's mouth as you leave is not really a good exit. Right. So do all you can where you are. And, if you do plan on leaving, so here's the beauty of it, is that you can do what you must do to win in anything, and that is to detach. Detach from the outcome. And it sunk into me when I started to learn how to play golf. My dad bought me golf lessons for my 23rd birthday. And I didn't know if he loved me or hated me for doing that, because golf is addictive. And I remember, like, when you watch golf, you watch these professionals, 2 foot, 3 foot putt. They take the same amount of time lining it up as a 40-foot putt. Like, why are they doing that? Same routine. Because that routine, like a basketball player, dribble, dribble, dribble on the free throw line, spin, spin twice, bite your tongue, close your right eye, shoot the shot. Getting into that rhythm helps them detach from the outcome. It puts them into the proper state of mind to execute the task at hand. Okay. And so I tell people all the time, we're not in charge of sales. We're not in control of it. Selling, like weight loss, is a lagging indicator. Okay. If you want to lose 20 pounds in 90 days, when you get on the scale in 90 days, it's only going to be proof of the work you did or did not do. Same thing with selling. At the end of the quarter, you'll look back. Did you hit your numbers? Meaning, did you prospect? Did you call? Did you email? Did you direct mail? Did you knock on doors? Did you go on trade shows? Did you engage properly on social media? Did you send good emails? It's a lagging indicator. So you must detach from the outcome. This guy might yell at me when I call them. Call him anyway. That is your job. Detach from the outcome. So if you're somewhere that you want to leave, and I'm not saying don't care about the results or the quality of your work. You want to make that putt. You want to sink that free throw. But worrying about it, stressing about it won't help. So calm down and say, how can I put my best foot forward? And if you're going to leave anyway, here's the ironic thing. When you're not all bound up and worried about the results and the outcome, you relax. And a lot of times you end up doing better. Then you start doing better and you maybe make more money. You get more accolades and recognition from the company. Maybe you get a promotion. Now, all of a sudden, you're in a position to make the change that you wanted. Now you may not want to leave. Okay. But just understand that. And look, and the attitude and the reputation and the work habits that you ingrain and put into practice while you're working for the man, you're going to carry over with you when you go out on your own. So leaving some bad blood, getting it, being pent up and frustrated, it's not a good way to enter going out on your own. So, calm down, do good work, detach. And again, like if you truly want to leave and they're grinding you to dust, once you detach, you say, you know what, I'm going to give you 40 hours. You're going to give me for eight hours a day. You're not getting me for 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day. You're not getting 70, 80 hours out of me a week. If you want to leave, right, start to put your foot down. And you never know. They may be asking 70, 80 hours of you because you're a pushover and you allow it. So there's a lot you can unpack there. So, if you're going out on your own, go out for the right reasons, in the right way.
There's a lot of great parts of your response. And one of them I want to take note of is that working for the man is not a bad thing. And
it's not evil. You're not a punk, right? But you watch the Andrew Tates of the world. No, you're not making $1 million. You're a worthless human being. I'm like, you're a worthless human being.
Yeah.
We're even saying that.
Yeah. And while the show is called Firing the Man, I have worked for the man and I've learned a tremendous amount. I've worked with awesome people and it's that idea of entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship. And I like your analogy, bloom where you're planted. And so, yeah, really good stuff there. Now, to move on, you had mentioned when you took that sales course with Steve, I believe, was the instructor. Yep. You said it changed your life, which is a dramatic statement. Explain that. What about it changed your life?
So it changed for a lot of reasons. One, the company that put on that workshop is in Austin, and the guy's name is Roy Williams. He owns the Wizard of Ads. And I've been reading his stuff, and he would do, like, once a month, he did a free seminar down at his office. And back then he was just in a commercial building, kind of a strip mall sort of, like a 4 or 5 offices, just, an insurance place, his office, just kind of an industrial, little strip mall kind of open air area. when you attended one of his classes, once you attend one, I don't know if you can tell I'm talking funny. Yesterday in jiu-jitsu, this black belt put his knee in my chin. I bit my tongue. So I'm fighting this call for 3.5 weeks. Got a swollen tongue. So anyway, hey, you haven't been punched in the face lately. So you know what? Make the next call. They're not going to eat you. But anyway, once you attended one of his classes, all future classes are 50% off because you're a graduate. So this was by far the cheapest class he ever offered. It was the one, at the time, it was the only teleclass he ever offered. Because by that point, I was living in Southern California, where I am now. My wife's from here, and I was covering the West Coast. So from like early, like I don't know, 2001 maybe, until 2004, I went to his monthly thing like all the time. So being able to do a $600 class, and I couldn't get my company to officially pay for it, but my manager, because I was doing well, he let me kind of pad my expenses over like 4 or 5 months. So it eventually got paid for. I just couldn't do it outright. So now I'm an alumni, and I've gone to at least a dozen classes ever since. And he's built a campus. Lodging is free when you sign up, and food and great drinks. I mean, it's awesome. So that changed my life. Hanging out with good people, seeing that evolve, get smarter on sales and marketing. But then working with Steve gave me a process and a system. I was a good salesperson. A lot of it was natural. You know, I went to the Air Force Academy, so I had good leadership training, communication training. I'd gone through a lot, so I carry myself well in a crowd, whatever. So I had all that. But Steve showed me the science of sales, right? And that's what I learned. Selling really is scientific. Selling is a skill. It is the profession of sales. Anybody can literally learn sales. And my first paying client was an architect that was leaving. He was firing the man. He was going out on his own. And he had to, I'm an architect. I don't know sales. Like, you're going to know sales. And he was a great client and great results, because selling is very scientific. It is very specific. People are very predictable when you know what to look for, how to elicit the responses. And so that's why it changed my life. Like I said, then I started working with Steve one-on-one, and that kind of in-depth mentorship from somebody that knows what they're doing. Because Steve, like he's as old as my father, in his generation. So having an experienced person, calm, but old school, right? He's hard ass. He would rip me up, man. I'd have to record my calls. He'd break them down with me. I mean, just brutal. But if you want to get good, watch game film, record yourself, have others listen in, debrief. That's the way you get better fast.
I like it. Now, if someone's asking themselves, am I good at sales? At least in my experience, what I've found is being a personable person doesn't necessarily mean that you're good at sales. And so what are some of those like foundational building blocks for building up your sales acumen?
Well, you always hear the adage, you have the gift of gab. You've never met a stranger. You should get into sales. No, you should get into HR.
Yeah.
Right? I'm good with people. I want to work with people. Well, as a salesperson, you're not going to work with many people. You have a lot of alone time. Conversely, as you need to sell within your company. So if you're still at a company, then you're working with operations, you're working with finance, you're working with all the leadership staff, you're working with marketing. So you're working with a lot of internal people, right? But, the gift of gab and all that, you can sell ice cream to an Eskimo. Those are all wrong. 100% wrong. Great salespeople are empathetic, right? Which is vastly different than sympathetic. Sympathetic, is, oh, look, you fell down and hurt your ankle. I'm going to twist my ankle and lay down with you. How does that help either of us? You know, oh, you fell off the boat. I'm going to jump in the boat with you. Or, jump in the water with you. Unless you have a life jacket, why? So empathetic means I understand your point of view. I see things through your eyes, from your perspective, but I know how to help you alleviate the pain and the frustration that you're going through. Great salespeople ask great questions. Great salespeople listen to the answers. Okay? Great salespeople are not worried about the outcome. Okay? Steve taught me, selling is a calling, serving. Golly, I haven't said this in a long time. Selling is a calling. Serving is its purpose. Questioning is the process. And a sale may be the solution. Okay. I have told more people no than yes over all my years of selling, at least on my own, right? I've sold a lot of software. People come to me, I want to buy that. Why do you want to buy it? Well, I saw Alex Hormozy uses that software. I want to get it. Tell me about your business. Well, it's just me, and I do like 1 hour a day on the side. It's okay. You're not ready for Alex Hormozy's tools. So I've literally told more people no than yes. So I say, I'm not worried about the outcome. Let's see what's going on. It's just like a doctor. What is a good bedside manner? A good bedside manner is just the doctor listening and not rushing. Now they may come in and let's say that there's an outbreak of measles, let's say, and you show up and the doctor looks at you and you're covered in red bumps and fever and cough and whatever. I mean, he knows in 1/2 of 1 second, you have the measles. Okay. And maybe you know it too. You're like, man, I'm just here. I made my copay. Can I just get a prescription? Okay, good. Get out. Great. You'll love that doctor. But usually you go in with some symptoms like, I'm not sure. It could be sinus infection. Could be bronchial. Like I've been going through some, right? I ended up with a sinus infection. My son had the flu. I had the flu. He got sick again, literally 2 weeks later, another fever. I just got a sinus infection, which I always do. So you want the doctor to listen. Tell me what's going on. How long has this been a problem? Have you gotten this before? Oh, you have a history of this. How have you treated it in the past? On a scale of 1 to 10, how does this compare to the last time you had it? Boom, 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 boom. Do you have any allergies? On and on and on. Okay. Here's what I think. Here's my recommendation. Thank you. Okay. It's that listening. People, nobody ever changes their mind. We reach a new conclusion when we are given new information and can process it, right? Turn it into knowledge, wisdom that exposes the truth to us. Okay, so that's why, I hate the word pitching. Hey, pitch me. I'm like, I'm not pitching. I'm literally not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to help you come to your own realization. Okay. Again, using the doctor analogy, if a few months ago, like my knee was just swollen, gushy, but it didn't hurt. But I'd had surgery when I noticed it. And I'm like, damn, what is going on here? Right. So I go see the doctor. So had to treat my other stuff. Then I went to an orthopedic surgeon. He's like, oh, it'll just get better on its own. Like, what the? How do you know that? Right now, he was a cool dude. I mean, they took x-rays. He wiggled it. He jiggled it. He poked it. He prodded it. Said, yeah, you're going to be fine. I'm like, okay. I trusted his diagnosis and recommendation, right? And prescription. And I was thankful, but it's like, all right, I did feel heard. I felt understood. And again, because there was no pain, I was okay. But he couldn't have called me and said, imagine getting a cold call. Hey, how do your knees feel? Are they swollen? Do your ankles pop? Do you have stiffness when you get up and down? You should come see me. Like, You weirdo. No. Okay. So it wasn't the pain. What brought me to the hospital. I went to the ER 3 times in September and October. And ended up having surgery. And so nobody had to sell me to go to the ER. Right? The pain was bad enough. I'm like, help me. So when we're talking with our prospects, we have to get them to start to recognize, because when we're calling them, when we're emailing them and they're not calling us, they have not recognized the pain that they have, its seriousness and its ramifications, because we all only have so much time, money, energy. So we're dealing with, usually we're dealing with the urgent and not the important. Okay. So as we start to talk with the prospect, so using the doctor analogy, right? A chiropractor could run some ads and say, hey, you a man, over the age of 40, maybe you used to be athletic, but you're finding, you're stiff. Maybe you get winded going up and down stairs. Maybe you're just not quite lifting as much as you used to. Maybe you sit in a chair long hours throughout the day and you notice you're getting tired, lack of focus, some brain fog, hip tightness, blah, blah, blah. And it's affecting playing with your kids, doing chores around the house. Yes. Yep. Would you like to address that naturally without the harmful effects of medication and prescription drugs or surgery? Yes. Come on in. First visit is free. Okay. So I'm bubbling up the issues, but the prospect has to say, yes, that's an issue to me. And I'm willing to take time out of my day for the appointment. And I recognize it may be a $200, $500, $5,000 treatment plan over the next 6 or 12 months to get me to a point where I don't have that stiffness, don't have that pain, don't have those migraines, blah, blah, blah. Right. So you got to follow that process and so you ask good questions and listen and make the prospect go, huh? You're on the right track when the prospect says, huh, that's a good question. Wow. I've never been asked that before. Wow. I never looked at it from that angle. Right? Because that's our job, is to bring some value. And we prove our competency by the questions that we ask. I can show up and say, hey, David, you need this Bose speaker. It's got a rubber cover, a non-slip. It's got a D-ring. You can put it on your backpack. It's Bluetooth. It's Bose. It's got a USB-C port. It's blah, blah, blah. You're like, I don't even, get out of my, I don't need a speaker. What? But now if you ask, hey, I'm looking for a speaker. I see this on Reddit all the time. I'm in the CRM subreddit. Literally every day somebody says, hey, what CRM should I buy? It's like saying, what woman should I marry? What car should I buy? Do you live in the snow? Do you live on the beach? Do you have a long commute? Do you have kids? Do you have a dog? I mean, there's 27 questions I've got to ask you before I can make a recommendation. So, but if you ask, I'm like, hey, do you need it to be portable? Or is it going to be, stationary? Okay, portable. Do you need it to be, waterproof, water resistant, whatever? Yes. Okay. Oh. Now we can start diving in, narrowing it down. And so, but by asking those questions, what about charging? Do you want traditional like lightning bolt, USB or the new USB-C? What's the USB-C? Well, you've probably seen it. Oh, yeah, the new one. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that would suck to buy last year's model. And now everything's, I need the newer ports. Okay. So because I ask a forethought, like a forward-looking question, something you haven't considered. And, USB-C has been around, but you just didn't think about it because it's not your world. Now you're like, oh, that's such a good point. Now they're liking me because I'm proving my competency by asking questions they haven't thought of. Now they're trusting me. Everybody buys from people they know, like, and trust. everybody focuses on being known and liked. So everybody's a professional visitor. Being trusted is really about the only thing that matters. Knowing you is 1%, liking you is 1%, trusting you, 98%. If I don't trust you, if I know you, I know and like a lot of people that I won't give them money. I won't let them watch my kids. They're fun to have a beer with. They're fun to go golfing with. They're fun to do jujitsu with. Okay. So you need to understand the value of trust and how do you build that trust in your prospects. It's all that really matters.
Very nice. I really like that approach and the know, like, and trust. That's key to the sales process. All right, Wes. Now, one thing I want to talk about is it seems like there was a big inflection point during COVID on just how business is done, how communication happens. And I'm interested in your thoughts on, in my opinion, you can't beat face-to-face personal interaction. However, Zoom has been one of the fastest growing stocks in the S&P 500, and there's a reason for that. And so what have been some observations you've had, and what are some ways people can excel in this post-COVID era?
Yeah, things changed a little. Since I got into high tech in the summer of 2000, I've worked from home. I've covered territories, and granted, you would eventually meet in person, right? Selling high tech, you'd have to meet with the powers that be. It was usually, what they call a consultative, complex sale. So multiple decision makers over multiple meetings making a decision. There were demos, there were trials. So we would meet in person. But the initial was always a call, email, right? Setting things up remotely, then showing up in person. When I launched the Sales Whisperer in 2006, I didn't have a website then, so things were done in person. But I would cold call, invite them to a workshop, which was, of course, done in person, and then they'd sign on for ongoing training. 2008, I became an Infusionsoft partner, so they're called Keep now. So I started selling software for marketing automation, right? Sales and marketing automation. I built my first website, and from that point on, I probably met 1% of my clients ever. Okay, so this is going back to 2008. I first started podcasting in 2009, started the sales podcast in 2013. I didn't continue it from 2009. I had a partner, and we're still friends. We just weren't good co-hosts. 2013, I started the sales podcast and have done it nonstop ever since. And it's always been remote. I was using Skype back in the day. Whatever the free tools were. So I very rarely sell in person. I meet very few of my clients face to face. So people are a little harder to reach now because of COVID and so many work from home and people forwarding their office line to their cell phone or just working off the cell, and spam calls and, unknown calls. But still, at the end of the day, we're still selling to humans. The human brain and how you connect has not changed in thousands of years. And so you may have to do more touches, but Zig Ziglar was training this 60 years ago. Takes, 5 no's before you get to yes, right? You got to take 7 to 14 touches, blah, 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 blah. But that's still true. Leave a good voicemail, send a good email, engage with them on social. Don't be a stalker, right? Don't be a me too. Lead with value. Mail them something physical. I don't get much stuff in the mail. I don't get very many good voicemails. I get mostly spam emails, and I can tell because in my LinkedIn account, I have a dash after my name, Wes Dash. Because I learned just coincidentally, years ago, I put a red phone in my name a sales guy in the UK had one. I was like, man, I like that. Kind of stand out in the crowd. And I noticed how many emails and LinkedIn messages I got that would say, "Hi, Wes," and then like a bunch of dashes, question marks, stars, because it couldn't transcode or translate that little red phone, right? So I knew they were scraping, and I knew it was a mass email, but I literally every single day, "Hi, Wes Dasher, this is a personal message to you." I'm like, this is not a personal message, delete. So stand out, right? Use technology to sort, sift, and separate. Then take the time to connect. But make a real video. And don't just go, "Hi," because we don't trust. I know if you don't say my name, I know it's probably not right. And they have the things now, right? They'll hold up like a whiteboard.
Yeah.
You see the GIF, right? The screensaver, and like your name will be on it. "Hi, Wes." Well, dude, that's 10-year-old technology, at least, it's doing some mass merge, and, it was fine 10 years ago. And some people still don't know the game. But when you get caught, talk about no like and trust. Now I know you, I do not like you, and I do not trust you. Delete. And dude, every day, about 10 times a day, report as spam. You want to block? Yes, block. These people, now granted, they probably have 100 email addresses, so they'll get back to me later. But at least I make it one little tiny bit harder, to stand out. So be human.
Yeah. Well, one last question I want to ask before we get to the fire round is, tell us a little bit more about Sales Whisper. Who's the ideal candidate to join the force?
People with a whole lot of money that don't want to hear from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, those irritate me. I have people, they've given me money, and I had one guy just last year, and I know him. I know him and his wife. And for 3 weeks, we didn't talk. He was traveling, whatever. And I called his wife. She said, "Here's his calendar. Just start booking calls." And I literally booked like 9 calls over 3 weeks. Like, dude, we got to talk. You're paying me money to help you grow, and you're just back in your old routine. I'm not going to let you throw this money away, and I'm not going to take it for free. Right? So it's crazy, but people will do it. We do it all the time, right? We get a book, we don't read it. Buy a course, we don't log in. So there's a few different types. I still sell a lot of software, mainly still Keep and HubSpot. Keep since 2008, HubSpot since 2014. So I help people upgrade and downgrade. I had a client just end of last year. He had 4 Infusionsoft accounts and a servicing ticketing account, and it was just, he needed HubSpot. So we're helping him port everything over. It's like a 9-month project. Huge deal. But sometimes you outgrow some software. Sometimes people jump into HubSpot and it's too much, but they lock you in for a year. And they're like, "Man, God, I need to downgrade to something that's, more affordable." So I'll help them. I'll help them do that. I'll help them find tools, optimize their tools. I've worked with damn near all of them. Go High Level, Nimble, Entreport, ActiveCampaign, Salesforce, so I can help people. So if you've got tools, you're not sure what to buy next, I've got a crmquiz.com. So you can put that in the show notes. It's a free tool. You ask you like 23 multiple choice questions, and it spits out results and gives you links to like 6 or 7 popular tools for small businesses. It's not good for like an enterprise, but for the solopreneur to an SMB. So I help them find tools. I help them create cadences, right? It's kind of a popular term, but that make the call, send the email, write a handwritten note, connect on social media, wait 2 days. Call number 2 needs to be different. Email number 2 needs to be different. So help them create those cadences, role playing for salespeople. I do a little bit. It turns into executive coaching. I don't consider myself a coach. I'm not a life coach, but I'm 54 years old, got 7 kids, about to have my 4th grandkid. I just know stuff. So people have hired me, and I do like working with folks on just, they're an executive or an owner, and it isn't only at the top, and they can't talk to people. They can't talk to a peer. They can't talk to staff. There's things maybe they're embarrassed about, like, I should know this, but I don't know who to turn to, or it's just something new. Like, I don't know where to turn. There's a lot of times I tell people, look, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And yeah, I know stuff, but at the end of the day, I'm more helping you pull out of yourself and be confident in just following your gut. So often we get into trouble. Every time I've gotten into trouble in business, and for so long I didn't trust myself, right? I did great in sales, but then I would invest in a cigar franchise and invest with a guy. We bought an apartment complex. I mean, stuff I didn't know about and I couldn't control. But I'm like, oh, those guys are older. They got some gray hair. They know what they're doing. They didn't. And there was always a little part of me like, maybe I shouldn't do that. But then it's like, well, we like cigars. I like these guys. And, this guy, he owned 10 single family homes. So an apartment's not really any different. It's a whole lot different. So people need someone just to bounce ideas off of, someone to just kick them in the butt and say, you're right. Your intuition is right. Go forward with abandon, so, and then in my inner circle, it's super affordable. That's for individuals. It was like me with Steve Clark back in the day. You can join for $50 a week. You can join for $500 a quarter. I've got it stupid affordable. I don't want anybody to say I can't afford it. Live calls every week, video series on demand. You get my book. I mean, you can ask questions at any time. So, I try to help the beginner. I try to help the intermediate, try to help the high level. It's truly what I love doing, right? I love sales training, marketing, a little bit of life coaching, helping people just clear out the cobwebs and go kick ass.
Very nice. Very nice. We'll definitely post a link to the crmquiz.com as well as Sales Whisperer. Now, before we wrap up the episode, we have something called the Fire Round. It's 4 questions we ask every guest at the end of the episode. Are you ready?
Bring it.
All right. What's your favorite business book?
It would be that series from Roy Williams. So he's got 3. So look up Roy Williams, The Wizard of Ads. It'd be too much to say the 3, but Roy H. Williams, The Wizard of Ads. He's got 3 of them.
All right. What are your hobbies outside of sales and business?
Getting my chin kicked in jiu-jitsu. I've trained jiu-jitsu 8 years now. I go 5 or 6 times a day. So I'm a little bit hooked.
Nice. What is one thing you do not miss about working for the man?
Stupid, redundant reports. I always use technology. I remember we deployed Salesforce.com at that tech company that moved me out here, and I kept it updated. And my boss, man, he'd call me, I need that Excel spreadsheet. It's in the CRM, Are you telling me it's 100%? Like, why do I have to create a report and email you a spreadsheet when I'm just logging into the tool? Are you saying it's 100% accurate? Yes, it is up to date because you told us to keep it up to date. And I was like, I guess the only one that kept it up to date. So don't bog me down with redundant tasks.
I like it. You and me both. And last question, what do you think sets apart successful entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
All of sales and business is finding a need and filling it. So maybe alluding like what I was talking about before. Because we hear this adage, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. It's like, bull crap. I think one of the worst things is to have a hobby, something that you love, and it becomes your source of income, and then it's a grind. Okay, that's real misery. So, bloom where you're planted, seek to serve. I've sold mobile homes, I've sold stocks and bonds, I've sold high tech. And I loved all of those things. I don't know if the world conspired or God had a plan for me, but I got all of those ended. But if you know how to just find a need and fill it, it doesn't matter what you do, right? You're working with people, you're helping them solve problems, you're making the world a better place. So I think that's it, right? If you can find a need and fill it, you'll always feel satisfied that you're on the right track. You're doing the right things for the right reasons.
Very nice. Very nice. And if people are interested in getting in touch with you, what is the best way?
I'm all over the web. Like you said, the Sales Whisperer is what I've trademarked. But I'm everywhere. LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm on those two the most. A little bit I'm on Twitter a good bit. So if you like any of those, find me there. You can email me. You can get my 12 Weeks to Peak habit tracker. That's free, 12weekstopeak.com. But you get emails from me. My cell phone's on there, and it's me, right? It's not no VAs. There's nobody acting like me. You get me.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Wes, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Firing the Man podcast and looking forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Before you go, we wanted to share a new service that Ken and I have been using called Getita that has made us over $10,000 in Amazon reimbursements. The service requires no monthly subscription, and Getita collects a small percentage of the money they recover for you. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and works on all Amazon marketplaces. Go to Getita.com, Getida.com, and enter promo code FTM400. That's FTM for Firing the Man 400 to get your first $400 in reimbursements commission free. How much money does Amazon owe you?